What's up? Hello. I am Maeve Maiden. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I want to talk about something a little serious today. It's the terrible, tragic accident of two young girls in my hometown of Ellicott City, Maryland. I will say it's my hometown just because my kids grew up there, and I grew up just outside of Ellicott City. So, although it's not technically my hometown, uh, I say that affectionately because I have a place in my heart because my kids did grow up there. So we're going to be talking about the 21043 area code, Ellicott City, Maryland. Stay tuned. And you know what? I just want to say, if you've stopped by here and you've liked or subscribed, I really appreciate that. I am a smaller channel. I'm trying to branch out. I've got a lot of ideas and projects I'm working on. I'm trying to get it a little bit more consolidated, and I'm going to have playlists because my interests are varied, and I've got like different things going on, so I'm going to try to consolidate that. So if you're a subscriber and you've been with me, I really do appreciate that because, I know I'm kind of like, I'm not as professional as some of the people that I watch, which I really respect, and hats off to them, but that's not really me. So I'm trying to be authentically me when I'm on my channel and the videos that I'm putting out there, let's just say. So let me just start by saying also, I'm going to be quoting, I found a few articles, but I'm going to be quoting an article in particular from the Baltimore Sun. And so, this is a little disclaimer. I'm reading from, obviously, something I found online, and it is from the Baltimore Sun, an article about this particular accident. So I think I'm going to make this a series because there were a lot of things that happened in Ellicott City, and I can't really put it all into one video because I'm going to try to make this a little bit more succinct and not so long for this particular series. So first, let's just go ahead and talk about Ellicott City itself and some brief history. So it was founded in 1772, and it is a town located in Maryland. It is very close proximity to Baltimore. So it's like a suburb of Baltimore almost. And I think you can kind of tell when you see the history of Baltimore and how people sort of, it's almost like they were in Baltimore and then they migrated out to these other more rural areas. And Ellicott City was a little bit more rural, but there is still a water source that runs through the woods. And actually what we're focusing on here today is a railway accident. So the railway goes through this part of Ellicott City. So it was very convenient probably back in, the 1700s and then on, for factory workers, railroad workers. There's actually an old paper mill down there, and it's like so crazy because it's so industrial looking. It stands out like a sore thumb because you've got this beautiful scenery. It's such beautiful forestry and nature in Ellicott City, and there's a big juxtaposition between the woods, the streams, and then up on the hills you'll see houses. And so people lived up on these hills, and there's like kind of winding streets that wind down. So it's like, it's a very European looking city. It's not typical of a lot of the cities we have around here. And right now I'm living in Germantown, Maryland. So the place in Germantown where I live right now, I'll do a separate video on Germantown, but it's similar. They're so similar, it's weird. But anyway, I just really, when I found the area, I just fell in love with it ever since I was a little girl. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, it's changed a lot. I'm trying to think back, before I get into the article, I'm trying to think back on, well, there used to be like a mall. It was like, I remember when we were younger, the big mall was Columbia Mall. That was actually built when I think I was in middle school, or anyway, I was much younger, and where we lived out further. We lived in this little, much smaller town than Ellicott City called Gleno. And we didn't have any kind of shopping or nothing. So we had to drive to either Alney, not even Alney, well, out here to where I live now, Lake Forest Mall or Columbia Mall, which is in Columbia. So we either had to go out here in Gaithersburg to go to the mall or Columbia. But they did have a little strip mall called Chatham Mall in Ellicott City. And so if any of you locals remember that, it's kind of crazy that they would even called it a mall. But I think they had like, I don't even know. I think they had a Kmart in there or something. I don't know. It was really bad. It was, nothing. It was like a strip mall, which you would think is a strip mall. They probably had a hair cuttery, Kmart, and some food places. I don't know. But there was also a McDonald's, and I think that was the closest McDonald's to where we lived when we were younger. So we would drive there to go to McDonald's and also to go to this Kmart and stuff, because I very much remember sitting in the back of my mom's car when I was a kid, and my mom and my grandma being in Kmart, and me and my sister beating the crap out of each other in the car, or whatever we were doing. Oh, we weren't beating each other up, but I don't know. Whatever we were doing, waiting for my mom to get done and my grandmother to get done in Kmart. And see, I'm sitting here telling you exactly how old I am because Kmart has been out of business and Chatham Mall's been gone for I don't know how long. But there is still, like, I think they're called Chatham Gardens or something like that. So there's still apartments there. I think they put up the apartments when the Chatham Mall got demolished or whatever happened with it. So there's that. Now, the research I did, just a little backstory on Ellicott City. So it was founded in 1772. And I read a book when I was living in Ellicott City about the history of Ellicott City, and it was really interesting. And as I mentioned, this town, it had it all. It had everything that you would need in a small town. It was very set up that way, to where there was, the convenience stores, the butcher shops, and, the funeral home. Like, it was all there. And the cobblestone streets. I mean, it's really it's the cutest little town. And there's a bridge. And that's where this is going to focus, this accident. But also to set it up a little bit more. Now, obviously, I'm going to try to link some pictures, and I'm going to do my best because I'm still working this whole thing out, but I'm going to describe it for you as best I can just by me talking, because it's kind of cool for me to remember. I spent a lot of time in this town in my life, so it's kind of like a walk down memory lane for me. But so there's a bridge, and it's kind of over the actual town of Ellicott City, and then there's water right there. And I think it's a creek, or it might be a river. But anyway, it goes into Patapsco, just like the other areas around there. I think Patapsco Valley State Park is right there also, like right running alongside. So anyway, and so when I was living there, and this was when this accident happened, actually this accident happened in 2012, and I was living in Ellicott City at this time. I was working and living there. I actually worked on Main Street, which is also where this is taking place. So I worked on Main Street, and I was working for a rental company. We took care of rentals for businesses as well as residents who were renting property in that particular area of Ellicott City. And it's almost like it's such a small but big town. So the population as of 2020 was 73,272. That's a lot because it's actually a very small town. So the fact that there's 73,000, that surprised me. But there you go. So it has good schools. It's a good area. I think it's a desired area. Howard County is a very desirable area for people to live in. Howard County, Montgomery County, both are very highly populated because of the schools, because of the different programs that they have for residents, and I looked it up, I think last year or something, of like, why are Montgomery County and Howard County such highly desired places for people to live, and it seems to be because of the amount of food places, grocery stores, convenience to different amenities and things like that, playgrounds, golf courses, and all of this kind of things. So, and it has all of that. The schools are good. My kids went to Ellicott City schools, and these girls that I'm going to be talking about were students who had gone to Mount Hebron High School. And Mount Hebron High School is in Ellicott City. So, and it's actually Mount Hebron High School. I didn't do that research, but anyway, I think it is one of the oldest schools in Howard County, along with Glenelg, which is the school I went to. So, but also, okay, so getting back to the current, we'll talk about 2012. So I was working there, I was living there. I was living in this neighborhood called Hilltop, and it's actually, it was public housing at the time. I lived in public housing, and I worked right down the street, so it was really convenient for me because I could live and work right in the, I could walk to work. But also I frequented the bars because there was a really cool nightlife down there. Sometimes there were some nice restaurants. I think back then it was Lapa Lapa. What was the place with a Y? I can't remember. I'm going to rack my brain. Maybe I'll come back and edit this video if I can figure it out. But anyway, there was a few bars down there, and you could actually do some bar hopping because they were close by, so close together. And people would come from all over to go to these restaurants and bars. Sorry, I have a mosquito bite and it's driving me crazy because it's right on my ankle. I hate mosquitoes. They're the only bug that I really hate. Because I will later tonight, I'm going to be itching this. Because that's what it seems to bother me the most. I'm trying to go to sleep. Anyway. So it was founded in 1772, population of 73,272. And, brewery. So that was one of the big places down there, the brewery. They made their own beer. So it was a really cool thing because you could walk by and you could see the big, I don't know what they're called. The filtration. So you could see where the beer was being filtrated and brewed from the outside because it had glass windows, just big glass windows so you could see inside where they're brewing the beer. And they had really cool local names for the beers. What else? Like I said, it's just it looks like a European town. It doesn't look like it's in America. There's cobblestone, and then inside, a lot of the buildings, there's brick and stone. It's just a lot of the old materials and architecture is still there and still present, and they've managed to preserve it despite all of these fires and floods that they had. Now, in addition to the fires and floods, there was this accident that happened August 21st of 2012 was when it happened. And I was at work that day because it was a Tuesday, I believe. Yeah, isn't that what that guy said? Well, it technically happened on Monday night, but it was Tuesday for calendar purposes. So at 12:02 a.m., let's see, a chef at Portales on Main Street said he heard a crash around midnight, so it was 12:02 a.m., and thought it was gunshots, and it shook his house. So that's how loud it was. And so actually, I was not at work. I had to work the next day. So, yeah, it was quite loud. And I'm trying to think if I remember hearing anything, because I lived so Ellicott City. Like I said, there's different, very big fluctuations in the elevation down there. And why I keep saying down there is because I lived up on the hill, and that's why it was called Hilltop. I lived up on the hill, and then you go down. When you go down to Ellicott City, it's like down a slope street. A lot of times at night, I would hear all kinds of stuff. I'm more than convinced that place is haunted, but for this video, I don't remember hearing anything. Just in my memory right now, I'm trying to remember back. I don't remember really hearing anything, but I think I must have, because it's like I remember going to work and being like, I didn't want to work that day because I was like thinking about what had happened, and I didn't know about it until I saw on I think I saw it on Instagram, because I don't know if I had Twitter back then. But so these so it was at 12:02 a.m. and let's see. All right, so two girls by the name of Elizabeth Conway Nass and Rose Louise Mayer were both students. They were both college students, home for college, about to go back to college, because it was August 21st, so it was the end of the summer. And one of the girls went to James Madison University in Virginia, and the other one went to University of Delaware. So these were, girls just home from college, and they were bar hopping, I'm sure. Ellicott City was notorious for that. But, and they're also preparing to go back to college. So they were, probably having a good old girls' night out and getting ready to go back to school. And sadly, they were sitting on the bridge, which is, like I said, it's over the water and over the little area down there where all the bars and restaurants are. And they had taken a photo of them up there, because it's not hard to get up there, but it's not like it's that easy. I mean, you got to climb, you got to do some climbing, and people climb the rocks all the time down there. That was something that people always did. In fact, I remember shortly before we moved away from there, they started putting signs up there saying, don't climb the rocks, but people still did it. But these girls, went up there to take a picture, and they took a picture and posted it on Twitter. I think it was around like 11:50 something. I mean, it was really close to when this happened, like literally right before. And around 12:02, the train derailed for an unknown reason. So the girls were sitting on the bridge, about 20 feet over Main Street, and their backs were to the tracks. So, they were just taking a picture like this, and behind them was the tracks. So they couldn't have seen this train coming, or, have prevented this, being that they were sitting not facing, where the train was coming from. And then it says, when the CSX train's open-air coal cars began to pass a few feet behind them. So these cars were full of coal, and let's see. Yeah, so they posted pictures on Twitter just moments before of themselves seated on the bridge. Now, when the gentleman said that the impact shook his house, another individual mentioned that it sounded like someone threw a dumpster. I don't know. I guess he thought some drunk person was just throwing dumpsters around. Like, who has that kind of strength? But right after the impact, all that could be seen was train cars tumbled and coal everywhere. Train cars were on the road and in the parking lot, and everything was crushed. So I don't think they even realized that these two girls were actually even involved until they started the process of cleaning up. But from when I read the article, that may not be true, because when they talked to the conductor, he said that he had passed the girls, so he had thought they were further up along that path and that he had cleared them, is what he had thought. But see, the coal toppling over is what actually killed them. So he didn't actually hit them, but the impact of the cars all tumbling into each other, because there were 7 cars out of 20 plus cars that were actually toppled over. So not the whole train, but some of the cars. And then, the cars were all over the street, and, I mean, it was a big mess. I stopped using social media, so I have debated about this so much, you guys. I don't know. I have a lot of anxiety around social media for personal reasons, but the thing is that I have pictures of this coal everywhere on my Instagram. So I don't know. I don't want to engage with social media. So I'm just going to have to just tell you that I was actually there and I saw it, and I'll probably link some pictures of some videos. They won't be mine personally, but I'll find some. But the coal was everywhere, and that's the reason why I was saying, that day at work, I couldn't focus on my work because I just saw this coal everywhere, knowing these 2 girls had been involved in this, and this is my town. I took it very hard because it was just emotional. It was sad. It was like an unfortunate accident that had happened and involving these 2 young girls. So they were killed and crushed by this coal. And I remember everybody going down and looking, and you have all these people looking, and then the people, it was just, there was a lot of crowds around, and people, because people were coming out of their, because this is the day after now. I'm, obviously jumping ahead. I mean, no one was there except for the actual train conductor and crew, and then they called in, a cleanup crew. An investigation ensued to find out what was the cause of the accident, why did it happen, who's responsible, and all of that. And so, like I said, there's a lot of businesses down there, and the B&O Museum was one of them. It's right next to the tracks and close to I can't even read my own writing. They had to close their doors for several days as crews worked to clear the coal and debris from the surrounding area. And, a lot of the businesses had to do that because they were so close to the point of impact. And I mean, you would think, it's just what do you call it? What do I want to say? It's a disconcerting sight to see all that black coal everywhere, covering everything. It was a big mess, and it was, on people's cars, and it was just because some people park there overnight. If you go down there and you go to dinner, or you go drinking, and somebody else drives, so you leave your car. And I think that, there were meters. So some of the meters, I remember there were meters knocked over. I mean, it was, it was. The destruction was pretty big. It was a pretty huge event for that small town, that had already seen a lot of tragedy. And actually, recently, this is a side note, if you look up floods and cars and floods and stuff, you'll see Ellicott City comes up quite a bit. There have been even memes that involve some of these cars that got swept up in this last terrible flood. I think it was 2 years ago. I mean, there's one with like a Mercedes that's completely submerged with its lights on, and that's taken in Ellicott City, right on the same street. So it's a town of a lot of tragedy. It's very sad, and I think it just gives it. There's definitely some creepiness involved with that. And the fact that these girls, took, and this was back in 2012, so you gotta remember, there wasn't like all of the TikTok and all of that. I don't think Snapchat was even a thing yet. Yeah, I don't think so. So Twitter, Facebook might have, I don't know. They weren't using Facebook, I don't think. because this just mentions Twitter. So they put their picture on Twitter that they had been sitting on this bridge, and let's see. Again, I'm quoting from this Baltimore Sun article. So let's see what else it says. Ellicott City's historic center braced for a difficult days-long cleanup of coal, overturned train cars, and smashed vehicles after a Tuesday train derailment crushed two 19-year-old women to death on a bridge. Investigators said the town's uneven topography along the Patapsco River in Howard County added obstacles to an already complex recovery. In addition to the cleanup efforts, local, state, and federal officials began an investigation into the deaths, the derailment, the potential impact of thousands of pounds of coal on local waterways. And that's the thing, it's like when I was mentioning about the old paper mill and the way that it was so industrial looking in this totally natural setting is just really weird to see. You've just got to see it. It's completely dilapidated. Like the windows are all busted out. It's so, I don't even know how it's even still standing, to be honest with you, this old paper mill. And that's like right next to the waterway and all of that. And yeah, it's crazy. So for the coal, I hadn't really noticed that part of it, that it was going to have an impact on the water supply. And, eventually the animals, so anyway, it was a big mess. It was just a big mess. But the sad part is the loss of the girls. And I don't want to do any disrespect to them by talking about them and laughing, because there's nothing funny about losing the lives of these girls. But I wanted to do them a service by bringing this up, because I've been seeing a lot of stuff lately about, I have to say it, there's a few channels that I really love. I really, really love them, and I watch them regularly. But when you're not a local and you're not from this area and you say certain things, it kind of bothers me, because it's like, locals, we know the real stories, okay, better than people that, might find something on Google and say, oh yeah. So I had to say, there was a discrepancy about this area in Ellicott City being the Blair Witch Forest or something. It's not. The movie Blair Witch was filmed where I am now, in Germantown, Gaithersburg area. It was not filmed in Ellicott City or Patapsco. So I just wanted to bring that into my video, because I mentioned it in a couple comments on these other videos that I was watching. It was just kind of funny, but I had to bring it up. And then also, I just recently watched this movie called Butterfly Kisses, and it was like, yeah, there's a legend of this guy down, and I don't know. It was kind of funny, because I was like, this is absolutely, totally fictional, but it's kind of fun, to think about. It was kind of interesting movie. It was not good, though. Sorry. It wasn't a good movie, but it's just kind of cool to see like a film filmed in this area. But that's the thing. That's why I wanted to do this video, because I thought, like, why isn't there more attention done to Ellicott City when it comes to like hauntings and creepiness and the way the area looks? Because it's like, you can go to this area and there's just such a feeling, especially like around Halloween time when it starts to get cold and everything. I just love it. There's such a creepiness factor, but it's real. It's genuine. Like, you feel transported back into the 1800s when you go there, when you come to this part of the city or whatever. So, there's actually an old girls' school. So that's the other thing. Well, I said I'm going to do this as a series, so I'll talk about that in another video. But let me get back to this. So this article was done right when this accident happened. So I don't know. Let's see. Okay. So I wanted to bring up what one of the spokesperson of the accident said. Accidents happen quickly. Investigations take a great deal of time, said Jim Southworth of the National Transportation Safety Board, which is leading the investigation into the accident. Frederick Road, which becomes Main Street in Ellicott City, was closed to traffic from Old Columbia Pike to Oella Avenue, trapping several residents whose cars had been blocked in by emergency vehicles. Many Main Street businesses did not open Tuesday. And I think, that's the thing. I was in this job that I did not like at the time. And I was like, why do we have to work, But I remember spending my lunch break going to visit and take pictures of the memorial a few people had put together for these girls. And it was really touching. They had, wreaths out there and photos and things. And it was just something to be there in that moment. It was quite sad and touching. And I thought about it recently, especially when I saw the discrepancy or the misrepresentation, I guess, of Blair Witch being in this area when it really was not. So I had to put my 2 cents out there because it was not filmed down there. And let's see what else we want to say. Train tracks will be closing longer. Yeah, so another representative from Howard County Council said it's hard to imagine until you see it. It's car after car after car overturned. It's so funny how this article is written, by the way. Let me just tell you. It says Council Member Courtney Watson, a Democrat who represents Ellicott City. Like, why do they have to say Democrat? After receiving a tour of the destruction, she said they're working as fast as they can get it open. Okay, so the 2 women who were killed, Elizabeth Conway Nass and Rose Louise Mayer, both 2010 graduates of Mount Hebron High School from Ellicott City. And it says when their bodies were found, they were still seated on the bridge. So, and I remember hearing about this, and then I really, because I lived so close, I walked down to try to see, like, if I could reconstruct this in my mind, so I could figure out, like, what exactly happened to these girls. But the fact that they were still seated, it was so disturbing to me, because I'm like, this coal, they were suffocated by coal, basically. And I don't know if that was a relief or more terrible, because it's like you think that the car, what I originally thought is that the car turned over, one of the cars turned over and crushed them. But I think it was actually the coal itself spilling out of the cars that suffocated them. And either way, it's horrible. I mean, it's just a horrible freak accident. I mean, you just cannot ever predict that type of thing happening, ever. And that was my interest in making a video about it, because it just adds to the, I guess, tragedies and devastation and things that had happened in this town. And anyway, I don't know how many people really remember that it even happened. So I thought I would do a video about it, because I'm from there and I was there, whoops, when it happened. So my light just fell. It's all fine. Let's keep it moving. So, okay, let's get in. Here's the rest. This is the part I was trying to get to. My ADD is bothering me a little bit. Sorry. As part of the investigation into the deaths, police were processing the women's cell phones to determine the origin of a string of messages and photos they believe the women posted on a social media website. This part bothers me, because this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to place blame somewhere instead of the actual... Let's just face it, it's a freak accident. I know the conductor probably felt horrible about this even happening. He thought he had cleared them. It's almost like, I wish I had a train so we could, like, show an actual model of how it happened. But, like, when they probably put the brakes on, how all of the cars kind of do this number where one hits and then the other one, and then it's like a domino effect, literally, where they all bang into each other. And then on top of it, because it's up on, like, like I said, there's like levels to Ellicott City where it's like up and down, and the elevation's different and everything. So with all of that, where how it's up, it probably the cars tumbled, some of them tumbled off the tracks, and then along with it tumbling also came the coal and falling on the girls. So, because them sitting on this bridge, they never thought they should have to worry about a train that would be passing by. They're not sitting on the train tracks. They're not anywhere near the tracks. I mean, they're close to the tracks, but they're not like, you see a lot, especially back in the 80s. We had a lot of movies where people were on train tracks, or they, it was like this big daredevil thing. But I mean, these girls were just sitting on like a platform, on a bridge. I'll have to attach videos because there's just no way you can understand it with me just describing it. But I just thought it would be nice to do a video about this because it's something that I remember happening, and I love this town so much, and I'd never heard anyone really talk about Ellicott City, and it's such a unique place, and I think more people should visit and learn about it and visit. It's a cool place. And it's just sad that this is what happened. And it's just one of a string of things that have happened over the years. And I'm not talking about like, within a few weeks of this, more things. I'm just saying like 1700s on. All of these things happen. Sorry. I told myself I'd get through this video. I'm sitting here yawning and everything. I walked like 3.5 miles today. I'm tired. So let me get back to the article. Okay, so I mentioned the Twitter photo. I'll try to link that here too. The 3 crew members on the train who were not injured there was 3 of them, told investigators they felt nothing and saw nothing before emergency braking occurred. The emergency brakes engaged automatically as a result of a rupture in a pressurized air brake line somewhere along the train. He could not say whether the emergency braking, the rupture, or some other problem caused the derailment, or whether the women's presence on the bridge contributed to the accident. So I'm sure with this investigation, they had to find out, the fact that these girls had been to a bar and they were drinking was brought up. It's completely pointless. They were in college. It's so stupid, the 21 and over drinking law. When people go to college, that they drink in college. It doesn't matter if you're 17, 18, 19, 20. When you go to college, you drink. I mean, I'm not saying it's like good, but I'm just saying it's known that that's what happens. So I already mentioned that. Shook the house. Tuesday. Okay, so the 80-car train was coming from West Virginia, and it stretched 4,227 feet long and weighing more than 9,000 tons. So 9,000 tons, and it was traveling at a speed of 25 miles per hour. This is why, and I'm not trying to make light of this or make jokes, but like when they have you do these stupid math problems in math, and it's like, if car B is going 20 miles per hour and car C is going 30 miles per hour, which one will get there first, or whatever. It's kind of like what this is sounding like, and I'm not good with math, so we'll just leave it at that. It was going 25 miles per hour. That's not very fast, but it's a train full of coal that weighs 9,000 tons. So I'm sure it's not that easy to break when you see people sitting there unexpectedly. And it's also late at night, but I mean, that is when these trains are carrying cargo, in the middle of the night. That's usually when it happens. But I just also, now that I'm talking about this and remembering living there, I remember at night leaving my window open, especially like spring, summer, even fall, leaving my window open. I loved to listen to the trains going by. So, yeah, that's a really good memory of mine. But after this happened, it was like, well, I don't really like to hear that much because, I'm thinking of these poor girls and how they were just being young, grabbing some drinks, having a girls' night, and the next thing you know, they're not going to be returning back to school, to college, and it's just really unfortunate and sad. And let's see. So there actually was a witness. This is really weird. I don't want to bring conspiracies all the time into every single thing, but it says Patrick Moran, a consultant with RK&K Engineering who lives near the railroad bridge. It's weird that he's an engineer and he just happens to live right there. Who lives near the railroad bridge, said he was walking along Main Street near his apartment when he heard the crash. He said it sounded as though someone had picked up a dumpster and thrown it. That's where I was getting that from. He went to the tracks, approached the locomotive, and saw no one there. Then he ran toward the back of the train where he met a man who identified himself as the conductor. I asked him if he was all right, said Moran. The man said he had seen the women near the tracks and had passed them. Then he said the rail blew out. The cars started going over and the coal started spilling out. And then another NTSB spokesman said investigators got statements from the crew and would interview them in person the first time on Wednesday. Certainly what the crew heard and saw is going to be of interest to our investigators, of course. They have to do an investigation. CSX did not respond immediately to questions about the crew members' remarks. So they call themselves, CSX calls themselves the largest coal transporter east of the Mississippi River and says it provides service from the largest number of active coal origins seamlessly, interchanges with western railroads and short lines, and provides access to multiple eastern seaports. At least 9 investigators were at the scene. And they're investigating signals, communication, conditions of the track, conditions of the bridge, and equipment. They're also determining whether 25 miles per hour was the correct speed for that stretch of track. And they even had a track expert fly in. And also noted is the train was equipped with a video camera that can provide information in the direction the train was headed. So they've got video, which is excellent for them. They can figure out exactly what happened. Yeah, and then it goes on about the pollution, erosion of soil. And then it interviews somebody who has a daughter that lives near there. Thought maybe his daughter was involved in the accident. She was fine. Verizon facilities were damaged in the accident. People weren't able to make long distance calls. Isn't it weird that we used to have to make an actual long distance call? Like we had to do it like manually. Like it wouldn't automatically just dial long distance. We don't even say long distance anymore. It interrupted some pre-trial hearing of Guantanamo Bay in the case of 5 men in the September 11th attacks. I don't know what that has to do with this. It says something about Martin O'Malley. He's gone. Talking about it's a terrible tragedy. This okay. So another resident, an owner of Ellicott City Weddings and Events, said that youths and other people often hang out near the railroad tracks. It's not just kids. Tourists of the area go up there as well, she said. And she was working on a makeshift memorial for the young women when she was talking to the reporter. She said, look up there. It's sort of cool to stand up there and take pictures of the city. And, you know, you can see the city from a different angle, of course, up there, you know, along that bridge. It's a different way to see, you know, because like I said, the elevation, it's like, it's mountainous. So, you know, it's cool. And that's why people will go up there to take the pictures. And that's what they were doing. So she was just describing that people do that. She said, we do see from, this is Sherry Llewellyn, the police spokesperson. We do see from time to time, sometimes teenagers, sometimes homeless people. It's not an ongoing significant issue. We just keep an eye on it. Okay. When she was asked about teenagers drinking in the area, I don't know why they even have to bring this in. It's so stupid. Llewellyn noted that there has been no finding that alcohol was a factor in the deaths of the women. Why would it be? They were just up there taking pictures. It's not like they were playing around the tracks. And, you know, maybe that's what they were trying to say initially, like, oh, it had to be somebody playing on the tracks, you know, or they were had to have been doing something. But their picture proved that they were just literally just taking pictures. There's been no finding that alcohol was a factor in the deaths of the women, and she said she didn't want to make a blanket statement about alcohol use. Sometimes young people congregate and do things that young people do. The derailment is the third accident this month in Maryland involving a CSX train and the partial derailment in Howard County on the railway's old main line from Relay to Point of Rocks, Maryland. And that was an article from the Baltimore Sun. Now, you know, the only reason I really mention this is because I'm going to do a series of Ellicott City and different things that have happened in the town. And it's just always stuck out at me because I was there and I saw the coal and the aftermath. It was like literally weeks of them cleaning up coal from this accident. So it really was pretty rough. And okay, let's see. Here's another one. Oh, okay. So there's a recent article about it. See, I knew there was a reason I wanted to talk about this. It's just from this month. I needed to know what happened. Okay, so this is also from the Baltimore Sun. Oh, God. Are they going to make me... Let's see. Okay. 1 February... it's not going to let me do it. I have to get a subscription. Are you kidding me? Okay, well... I guess we can't read that one. Damn it. Oh, okay, here we go. Let's see. Oh, there was a CNN report on it. Okay, so here's the girls. Two Maryland teenagers killed when train derails and spills coal. Two teenagers girls were killed early Tuesday when a train derailed on the bridge they were sitting on, spilling coal and burying the young women. God bless them. They're so cute, too. The two girls posted photos to Twitter shortly before the crash. One showed feet dangling over a road. That's the one I remember seeing because I looked it up right when it happened. Back then, I remember. One showed feet dangling over the road with the caption levitating because it literally looks like you're on this really high bridge. It's not really that high, but it looks like you are, especially in that photo. I'm trying to see. Maybe they have it. According to a written statement from Howard County Police, the two girls posted photos to Twitter shortly before the crash. One showed feet dangling over a road with the caption levitating. Another appeared to look down Main Street. Nass tweeted, drinking on top of the Ellicott City sign with at Rose Petals. That's Rose's, I guess, Twitter name. The name Ellicott City is painted on the railroad bridge. And I think even in that movie, Butterfly Kiss, it's like everyone always takes a picture of that where it says Ellicott City. It's like that part of the bridge, they were over towards the right of that part of the bridge. If you were like coming into Ellicott City, that's where they would have been. If you know of the area, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'll try to post pictures or link them. Mayer and Nass were high school classmates of David Butko's. He said he grew concerned when he heard about the accident, saw the pictures on Twitter, and indicated Mayer and Nass were on the bridge. Oh, so he had alerted somebody. They probably didn't even know these girls were even there. See, social media is actually important sometimes. Oh, we went to the site, hung around, but the police wouldn't let us in. So it looks like this friend of theirs saw their post and then went to, when they heard the accident happened, they went, it had to be early, like Tuesday morning or something. Nass was supposed to go back to college at James Madison in Virginia on Tuesday. He said classes begin in 6 days, according to the university's website. A spokesman said Nass was an honors student in the interdisciplinary liberal studies program. Aw, bless her heart. Mayer was a nursing student at the University of Delaware who was about to start her junior year. They were both terrific kids, Mount Hebron High School principal Scott Rule said. Both girls were really involved in the dance program. They were pleasant. They always said hi in the hallway. Butko said Mayer was a very funny girl. She always had a smile and a joke. She was goofy at times, but could be there for you when you needed it. And then it quotes, it goes through some of the other stuff we already talked about from the other article from the Baltimore Sun. This is CNN article, by the way. And then they go on to say, you should just stay away, all that. That's crazy. And that was the first time I'd read. Okay, yep, here's the one. Okay, so an autopsy, this is from CBS Baltimore article. Autopsy finds 2 teens buried and suffocated by coal. Autopsy results are released for the 2 young women killed in the train derailment in Howard County as investigators make significant progress. There are 2 fields in the investigation at the scene where they have been running test trains slowly at 4 miles an hour on a close watch, and also in D.C. as an NTSB lab where the data recorder and video from the train are being looked at. They work to determine the cause. The first train since the deadly derailment rumbled through Ellicott City, testing the tracks, still search for the cause. Okay, early Tuesday morning, the massive train traveling to Baltimore went off the tracks near the narrow Main Street Bridge. 21 cars overturned, dumping coal into the parking lot. They said 21 cars because the first article said 7. I'm itching my mosquito bite again, sorry. 21 cars overturned, dumping coal into the parking lot and street below. The incident crushed cars in a nearby parking lot. According to federal investigators, the 3 crew members on the train saw and heard nothing unusual before the derailment. Emergency brakes applied automatically, investors say. Happened at the derailment was in progress. Alright, sorry, give me 1 second. I didn't find this article before, so. The derailed train's data recorder shows there was a broken air brake line triggered an emergency brake. Okay, so then it goes on to say several lawmakers have called on CSX to review safety policies. The company has had several major incidents in Maryland, including the 2001 Howard Street Tunnel fire in Baltimore. So apparently they've had similar incidents before and didn't do anything about their safety policies. Okay. Okay, so police also released the cause of death of the two girls who were killed at the derailment scene while sitting feet from the tracks. Compressional asphyxia because they were buried in coal. Both deaths were ruled accidents. They were both girls, Nass and Mare, were on the train bridge with their backs to the side of the train as it passed a few feet behind them. Experts say it's unlikely their presence played a role in the derailment. What a freak accident. That's why I knew this fascinated me, because it's not even, it's like this, if those girls weren't even there, this was going to happen. That's what's weird, right? That's what it sounds like. But why would he be braking? It's just one of those freak accidents. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, leave a comment if you know anything about trains or train accidents or anything like this. But it's just devastating. It's horrible that it had to happen that way. So is this the same article? It's such a horrible way to put it now. And then another article linked to CBS says the 19-year-olds were buried alive while hanging out on the train overpass in downtown Ellicott City. Best friends snapped pictures on Twitter of their bare feet dangling over the edge of the bridge as the train sped by, drinking on top of the sign. And then, so again, I already quoted the principal, Mount Hebron. Was he the principal when my daughters went there? I don't remember. I don't think my kids were in high school yet. It's sad that I don't know that, right? My oldest daughter's 25. I'm starting to not remember these kinds of things. Drew a crowd of more than 100 people, all in shock of what's being called a freak accident. It is just so freak. But I don't know. I think there had to be a reason for the break, right? It had to be because they were sitting there. I'm so curious about this now. But I could just see this, being like a movie or something. I don't know. It's just really freaking weird and just shouldn't have happened. And then, they go on to say it's just people shouldn't hang out there. Somebody else said, a resident said, we've hiked up there before, me and my kids. Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't, like the other person said, tourists go up there, everything. It's not unusual for people to do that, and especially taking pictures. Because it's very scenic. It's like, it's a beautiful area. And then, of course, the executive says, well, it might be a habit, but it's not, it doesn't mean it's not dangerous. You can walk way down and climb the fence and walk back. There's a stairwell to the neighboring property. Now the county will look into changing that access. So they're trying to make it inaccessible. I'll have to go there and do that would be cool. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a video within the next couple of weeks. I can't even say when it's going to be, but I'm going to do a video just for my own satisfaction. A caveat to this where I can show you exactly where this all happened. That's what I'm going to do. If I can even get access, because, I mean, apparently they made it inaccessible, which they probably did, because they don't want any more things like this happening, which is good. We don't, I don't want any more accidents like that happening. But I can at least, do a video about Ellicott City anyway. It's starting to be fall time, like Halloween time around. That's my favorite. It's my favorite memories. Yeah, the chance of it happening again right here is slim to none. Yeah, they're gonna make sure of that. But I mean, two girls had to die for them to change things, and that's unfortunately usually how it works. Um, yeah, the two girls were less than a week from starting junior year of college. Junior year of college. And these were two girls that had, oh, it's just so sad. They had really promising careers and lives ahead of them. Terribly sad. Um, so, let's see if I can find the picture of the dangling feet. Because I remember seeing that, like, wow. It just was really eerie. Okay, here's another. This is why I need to go through multiple articles, because now I found a actual witness. Because there had to be people that were, even though it was 12 o'clock, I don't even think the bars closed down there till 1. Yeah, because the girls they had their drinks and they were up. The Phoenix, that was the name of this place. Oh my God, the Phoenix. That was a place we used to go all the time. I think they were at the Phoenix. Yeah, the Phoenix was like a bar, restaurant type deal. It was really fun. They had like dance nights and everything, DJ and all that. Live music. It was just all kinds of fun. So let's see. According to. All right, it was straight screeching, like it sounded like the brakes were on, and the table that I was near was kind of shaking. Lauren Ward said, a witness. It was unreal. I figured that it derailed it. I honestly did. Oh, she was in her apartment, because it's so cool how it's set up there. Side note again. So you could be like, sometimes when I'd be at the Phoenix, like hanging out, having drinks, whatever, listening to music, you can look straight across at like the building right across from you, and it's like a small little town, so it's like a narrow street. So you can look across and see into the building next to you, and sometimes they're apartments, and so you could see somebody just like in their kitchen. I just thought that was cool when I was down there. Sometimes it'd be like dancing or hanging out with my friends, and look over, and it'd be somebody like in their apartment, just in their boxers, getting a snack out of the fridge. It's just kind of funny to see. I mean, if you're from a place like New York or something, you see that probably all the time, but it's a small little area down there, so it's just kind of different for all the businesses and buildings and apartments and the residences and businesses to be so close is different down there. Ward's apartment is just feet away from where the derailment happened, so she probably lived in one of those buildings just by the tracks. Howard County Police and Fire Department and emergency workers said several vehicles in a parking lot below the historic bridge were crushed by the derailed train cars. Yeah, so that's where people had parked that were going to the bars or restaurants. Rescue workers said they found 2 women who died at the scene, facing east, and their backs to the side of the train. When the train derailed, the open cars filled with coal. And the exact cause of death for both women will not be known until after autopsies are performed, but the source... Yeah, so we already read, we know that the autopsy said it was asphyxia from coal. Will not be known until after autopsy. Okay, I already read that. Okay, I'm trying to find... They interviewed a lot of these same people. Sorry, give me 1 second. um, okay, officials said the cars were coming from Cumberland, Maryland, and headed toward Fort McHenry. There were no hazardous materials involved, just the coal, which was enough to be devastating. Main Street between Old Columbia Pike and Oella Avenue was still closed Wednesday for the investigation. Commuters who usually use that road are being encouraged to take Route 40 West as a detour. 2 young women. I thought they were going to have the pictures on here. Let's see. I hate when they do that. Sorry. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Alright, let me show you the girls first. Again, another picture of them. Rose and Elizabeth. And here we go. And here's their actual Twitter picture. So Rose posted this. It says levitating. That's so crazy, you guys. Just crazy. Yeah, I can link it too. So it's just so sad because, and I need to look at it again. Let's see. Okay, so here's her other picture. Oh man, how cool. And sad. That was her other picture that she posted. And it, it's kind of a cool view. Looking down. I don't know if you can even read that. Sorry. But, yeah, those are the pictures that they took up there. And then here is, I wonder if they have a picture of the memorial and the site. Yeah, this is what I remember seeing, and I actually walked right up on this aftermath. And it was, let's see. No, that's something else. It was just a mess of coal. I'll link as much of this as I can. I mean, or you can just look it up. But, I really wanted to just talk about it because it had happened when I lived down there, and I think about it every now and then just because of the way that it was just such a freak accident, and I spent so much time in Ellicott City, and especially down on Main Street that this was a big deal. And oh yeah, here we go. This was the bridge picture with where it says Ellicott City. And here's another one. Let's see. Dang, they still haven't gotten justice for these family. That's the article I was trying to read, but it was saying that I had to subscribe, and I'm not doing that. Like I had to pay like $18.99 for a subscription. Not doing that just for one article. How do they get away with that? It's no wonder people don't read newspapers or anything anymore. 10 years after the crash. Let me see if I can just get a synopsis of what there's. Father's quest. Which father? I don't know if it's Rose's father or Elizabeth's father because it will not let me look at it. Yeah. So, those poor girls, you know, they just wanted to take the cool little picture and have some drinks and hang out down there. And that freak accident happened. But there's really nothing more I can say about it. It's just terrible. It's a horrible accident, and you know, I just wanted to bring some attention to the area that is Ellicott City. And I know it's not in the best way possible because obviously this is a terrible accident that happened. Is this them too? Oh, they're so cute. Oh. So for Elizabeth and Rose, may they rest in peace, and may their memory be not forgotten. And that is going to do it for this particular episode on the derailment and accident of two young girls in Ellicott City on Main Street in 2012. And again, that happened August 21st, 2012. I'm a big proponent of numbers. And you know, it's not coincidental of those dates. It's a pretty significant date there, August 21st, 2012. Well, just the fact that that was just such a freak accident, it's just, you know, it's really horrible. And I'm going to talk about some more of the history of Ellicott City, but I think most of what I'm going to share is much more dated and more along the lines of natural disasters. This was not a natural disaster. Obviously, this involved, you know, a railway and people. But most of the other things I'm going to talk about are going to be more of the historical aspects of Ellicott City. So it'll be a little bit more, not as serious. And I hope I didn't take this too flippantly. I mean, this is, you know, a devastating loss of two lives. But I didn't want to come across so serious. So hopefully I've shown respect in that regard, and I haven't, you know, made light of it in any way. There is no resolution from what I could see. You know, these parents are still talking about it, so I don't think, you know, other than them acknowledging that it was an accident, I don't know if the family has a lawsuit and it's been resolved or what. I don't have an answer to that. So, you know, possibly That's something that we can all ask and pray for their families, that they will get some kind of, I mean, it doesn't, after you've lost your child, it doesn't matter if they, if you sue and you get some kind of compensation, but it's just like, it would be nice to have the company that was involved in this, the railroad company, to acknowledge that these two young girls lost their lives for what. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the video, and just, this is just a little look into this particular incident involving these two young girls and a terrible, horrific freak accident where they lost their lives by coal spilling out of these railroad cars in a freak accident in Ellicott City. And definitely I appreciate you stopping by, checking me out. I'm going to do some other videos in a series about Ellicott City, along with some other things I'm working on my channel, so I just definitely want to thank you for sticking with me through this one. I appreciate you coming by. I appreciate the love and support from anybody that checks me out. I really do appreciate it. It really does do my heart good, just anytime I get any feedback, so definitely appreciate that. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great month of September. This is the first day of a new month, so I've got a lot of projects going on. I hope you are doing well, your family, loved ones, everybody's safe and happy, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.